Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Village HI podcast, a community for inspiration, elevation, and empowerment. I'm your host, Rocky Svainao. Growing up in the islands, you've heard the name Timmy Chang, the standout QB from St. Louis High School, the record-breaking quarterback during his time at the University of Hawaii. He's moved on, coached in the mainland, and has come back to be the head coach and lead the Warriors football team. But being in the limelight, being in the spotlight, there's pressures every day. And it takes a community, a village to be supportive to get him through that. And that's where today's guest comes in. She is a mother, the leader of 5 at home. She's the rock for Timmy. And her name is Sherry Chang. What's up, Sherry?
Hi, Rocky. Thank you for having me. This is different because I'm used to Timmy being on the camera and I'm just in the background there.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's great. Everybody hears Timmy's name. You know, there's one sentiment or statement, right? I'm never above you, never below you. I'm always beside you. And thinking of that sentiment right there, that's what I believe. Like, that's what you are. You know, people see Timmy, everybody hears Timmy, but you're not too far away. You're right there. You know, you and the kids, right?
Thank you. Yeah, we're always around. Maybe a little annoying because we're like always around, but that he does a good job with that, bringing us around, making kids. I mean, because his job is so demanding and it takes him away from us, that's his way of making sure that we are there and that the kids see him and that he gets to have that time with them, even if it's just them running around the stadium or the offices. But he does a really good job with bringing us around.
No, for sure. I mean, you guys are known as the Chang gang.
Yeah.
Right? So, no, definitely. I love that. Before we get into a bunch of things, there's one, you know, when Timmy first got hired, there's a picture that came on top of the newspaper. And it was you and the kids on a blanket on the old grass field for UH football. For me, being a former alumni, you know, and a football player, like seeing that just kind of captured what UH football is, which is family.
Yeah.
You know, did you know that it was going to be that big of a thing with you just putting the blanket out there at that time?
No, I mean, that's who we are. Like everywhere we've gone, we've been, whether we're the only family around, because we usually are the youngest families on all the teams we've been on. So it is usually just us, but that's who we are. We're big family people. We have a lot of kids for a reason because that's important for us. You know, like we want to be a part of it all together. We want this journey to be a family thing.
How special is that? Because it's not common where you can have little kids, brothers, sisters, nephews just running around the football field at a Division I football field.
Yeah.
Like, what is your guys' sense, you know, for you and Timmy, like being able to like make that accessible, you know, or like make it okay, you know, for people to do that, you know?
That's definitely like, I feel like the center of like what we do, everything is family oriented. Like that's what we want to bring to this team is like that. I mean, that is special to Hawaii, right? Like everybody has kids here, a lot of kids. And it's so special for you to watch a football game and then have your kids along the sidelines, like throwing footballs down there beside your D1 team. So that's something very important to us. And even during meetings up in the offices, he tells the coaches, like, bring your kids up. I'm okay with it. And you'll see the kids up there, like, running wild. But it's special, you know, like these coaches do a lot. The family sacrifice a lot. So it's like, why not let your kids be around it and enjoy it with you guys?
I know we're jumping kind of ahead, but you know, how did you and Timmy first meet? Well, first of all, are you a local girl born and raised here in Hawaii?
I get that a lot because I feel like people say I could pass as a local, but I'm actually from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Wow.
So we met, I want to say 16 years ago when he was part of Hamilton Ticats, the CFL team there. For my hometown, I was a baby, 21 years old. I was a server at a restaurant. I ended up serving it was actually our first year opening that restaurant. It's a new restaurant. We were sponsoring the Ticat team and he had come in with some of his teammates. I was serving the table and I mean, the rest, so he actually, that night,
How did he approach you? We gotta know.
Okay.
Hey, he's this head coach. What kind of game does Timmy have? You know, did he put a little note on a napkin? Did he tell someone to give you? What was his approach? What was his game plan towards you?
I always hear about the St. Louis Crusader gentleman, and I think he definitely was a gentleman. Like
nice.
So. I was serving him. We talked for a little bit, and then later on that night, because I was serving on the rooftop, and it's a 5-level story restaurant. So, I guess at the end of the night, the ladies on the front are like our hostesses on the first floor were saying, some guy was like leaving. He said he wanted to leave his number for you, but then he was like, you know what? I'll just come back the next day and give it to her myself. So
there you go, Timmy.
So he actually did. He came back the next day, found me, and it wasn't. And it was a breath of fresh air for me because it wasn't like your typical, can I get your number? Or like, you know, he was
let me
like,
holler at you, Sherry. No,
he was like, can I?
St. Louis gentleman, he was.
He was like, can I take you out on a date, like maybe to a dinner? So it was like, it was really sweet. sweet. And that was what got me. So
for the guys tuning in,
Yeah.
chivalry is not dead.
No.
Being a gentleman is not dead. It's fully alive.
Yeah.
No, that's great to hear. So, so you and Timmy connect, and how was your guys' path? Like, just maybe like career-wise, or like for you when you guys got together, or just before you guys got to UH.
Yeah, so when I met him, he was still on the team,
Mm-hmm.
and that was during training camp. So it was in the summer of June, in the summertime. They start a little early in Canada. And then probably about for the next 6 months, right before camp, I think he had gotten cut from the team. And he just kind of knew, I think, for him, because he's been in it for a few years now. And I think that at that point, the fun was taken out of it for him. It was more business, and he just wasn't enjoying it anymore. So he kind of made a decision right there. It was like, I'm kind of done playing. I think we need to move in a different direction. And so we were still dating. He had stayed with us for a couple weeks, maybe a few weeks. And then he went back home and just kind of reassessed the situation. Asked me to fly out. I spent a month with him out there, and then he didn't want me to leave. So he's like, "Can you just move here?" I was like, "I don't know." I'm like, "I gotta go home and like talk to my parents." So we kind of did that, and I did move out there with him. We spent a year, and he kind of went back to finish university because he didn't finish college. He still had some credits he had to finish up. So we did all that. I ended up getting pregnant with our first baby. And going home to Canada. So we finished actually all his schooling online in Canada.
Nice.
And I'd like to say my name should be on that degree.
Yay,
I took some classes. I don't know if I can say that, but I did help him with.
We helped him study. We helped him study. You made sure that he was ready for the test. Yes. We know what you mean, Sherry.
So right when he finished, he had actually reached out to Rod York at Ilani, and he got on the coaching staff there. And it was only for a short, we were only home for maybe a few months before we got the call from June Jones to go to SMU as a grad assistant. So that's kind of how our coaching journey began.
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah. Timmy, that's being a former coach, that was the guy that he led Timmy.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good experience. We're, as you guys made it to SMU, what was the span of just what is life like having to bounce from different place for opportunities, especially for a young family? What was it like for you guys?
It's definitely not easy because at that time, and you're not, as a grad assistant, you have to go to school. You're not getting paid much. I think our stipend was maybe like $1,500 a month, and
a month?
Yeah, a month.
Damn,
it's kind of like a student stipend. Geez. Yeah. So, we really had to just, and thankfully we had great parents, but we didn't want to ask them for help. We had our kids at that time. I think I had one and one on the way. So it was tough. And as a grad assistant, you're really grinding. You're in the office sun up to sundown. So I didn't see him a lot during that time, but it was tough. We were on food stamps. We really wanted to do it ourselves. And we were on food stamps. We grinded it out. And we weren't there long. I think we were there for 2.5 years. But the advice that all the coaches give you is you kind of just have to roll with whatever comes in. So June somebody had reached out to June asking for a coach recommendation, and he recommended Timmy. So the next step after the 2.5 years, he went to become the OC at Jackson State. So
nice.
We ended up picking up and moving, and that stuff happens so quickly. When you get that call, they give you maybe a day or two, and you just go.
During that process where you just, you get a call, you pick a move, because it wasn't just one time. It wasn't from SMU to Jackson State. You went to a couple other places after that. So as you get these calls, and it's just pretty much, hey, go pack the boxes, we got to get going.
Yeah.
How do you feel internally? Because you don't have a lot of time to process it. You got young kids. You're young yourself. Is there times where you're just man, I don't know if I'm really built or I really want this lifestyle,
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like that at times?
I don't think so. Because we knew that's what he wanted to do. And I'm probably the president of the Timmy Chang club. So of the fan club. So I'm just there. I'm I wanna see you succeed. I want you to do these things. So that's kind of all we knew, at that time. And so whenever he got the call, and it's kind of scary as a family because even though you have a contract, you can be fired anytime and you can be let go anytime. And so at the end of every season, it's kind of we call it the coach's carousel. You don't know where you're going to be. You don't know if you're going to be staying put, if you're going. So it's kind of you're kind of a ball of nerves because you're I don't know what's going to happen, But it's also exciting because okay, could be also a step up in your career. So you just kind of wait and see. And when those calls come in, you don't really have, they have numerous other coaches they probably have on deck. So if you either say yes or no, you know. So when they give you a call, you just go with it.
Yeah. I've moved a couple times.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just leave my stuff in the box. You guys ever
No.
felt like that? Like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
Leave those 40 boxes over there and we'll just wait for the next
Yeah.
call. You guys ever did that?
I mean, it gets like that. But so how it happens is when they get the call, usually Timmy takes off, I'm not kidding you, like the next day.
Yeah.
And then the families are left behind to kind of pack up the house, get everything ready. Like there's a lot that goes into it. And sometimes the schools don't pay for you, so it's all coming out of your pockets. So you're trying to save as much money as you can. So
Wow.
I've packed houses on my own with like kids of my like little kids at the time at home. So I've had to pack an entire house by myself and make sure that it's all in the trucks that we're moving to. Make sure we find a house that where we're going to, getting all the kids' medical stuff, their schooling stuff ready, and making sure that our life at the next place is set up before we get there. So there's a lot of moving parts, and then Timmy's just focused on the football side of it, you know. So
no, it's good that you share that because a lot of people from the public eye would not know that. Hey, this stuff don't get paid for.
No,
we're fronting the cost.
Yeah.
I'm making $1,500 a month.
Yeah,
I mean, you try and make that kind of money in a week in Hawaii. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're struggling.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's good insight to share for people to really know. Like, if you want to get into coaching, you gotta love it and have a passion, and you gotta have somebody that supporters like yourself.
Yeah.
Because to do the things that you guys have to do, especially to climb that ladder in the coaching world, is not easy, and you need the support.
Yeah.
So as he's going through this journey with his coach, with the different staffs and going kind of climbing up that ladder, take us to how it was when he got that call, or maybe when you first found out, like, what, UH is on the table. Like, what was it like for you on that side?
Oh my God, it happened so fast.
Yeah.
Like, I think when Todd Graham had resigned on that, I think it was a Friday, like our phones were blowing up. Of course, his name always comes up when Hawaii kind of has that opening, but his phone was blowing up. Our head coach at the time, Jay Norvell at Nevada, had we were at Nevada and we actually were headed already to Colorado State because our head coach had gotten that job. So our whole entire offense had left already. He was already there. And so when that Hawaii job came about, Timmy was actually on the road recruiting.
Okay.
And so our head coach had called and was like, do you guys want this job? And Timmy's like, hell yeah, I do. Like, And so he said, okay, let me make some calls. Let me see what I can do. And he had actually really put himself, like really reached out and tried to vouch for Tim and, just give him what he knew about Timmy and as a coach and his recommendations and stuff. And so we had applied, and I think David Matlin at a time, when they were doing the interviews, had called out to him. We were picked to like interview. So it's so exciting, but you don't never know. I think they met up and did an interview, and they offered him. There was a little bit of a time where, because I know Timmy Matlin, people don't know this, did want to work with June Jones and see if we can kind of work something out together. And so that kind of was in the works for a little bit, and then it ended up just being Timmy. So it was fast. And he actually didn't know because he wanted to prepare us. He's gone through it as a college quarterback here. You're being under a spotlight and the scrutiny that comes with it. So he wanted to make sure that us as a family and our kids were going to be okay if we took this job. We had a Zoom meeting with his entire family in Hawaii and just wanted to have a vote. Like, are you guys sure you guys want me to take this job? Because there's a lot that comes with it. We're going to be under a microscope, and I don't.
All the time. And
I say, I don't want it to affect you guys. He said, because I can handle it. I've done it. Can you guys, will our kids be okay going to schools there and stuff like that? Because when things aren't good, like, I don't want it to be a blowback on you guys. So we all kind of cried about it, prayed about it, and we were like, 100%, we want you to go do that. So that's it was a whole family decision.
Before, you being raised in Canada, have you been to Hawaii, before you guys moved here?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so you were kind of very familiar with the islands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice. So now you get the call, now it's official, coming home. How was the transition from being away for so long and now actually like making the move and taking on this job?
It's been awesome. Like, I feel like everyone's so kind and welcoming. And honestly, like, my parents are first generation Chinese. Like, so I'm full Chinese. I speak fluently. Like, the way I was brought up is so similar because you guys are so heavily Asian. Like, Asian influence that like, I feel like there's so many similarities. Like the culture, the values, everything is like exactly how I grew up. So I actually love watching my kids grow up here.
Yeah.
And just little things like them eating rice at lunch. I'm like, on the mainland when they take rice, like they're the only ones doing it. So I love that they're in this, here in Hawaii, in that culture, being brought up like that. But as far as everybody, the community has been nothing but supportive and kind and welcoming. And I love it. I love how it is a family here. Yeah.
I like you said, the kids must be comfortable, right? It
Yeah.
must have been like a huge like relief and an excitement for them because it's like, I get to eat right. Like, I
Yeah.
rather have this type of food. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like this is like I can relate to a lot of other
Yes.
people. So I'm sure that was great for them. As you guys came along and started first, walking Timmy's being introduced as the head coach, and you guys are walking like. How was that? Because now you're a family of 5, and now you're like a family of 125 with coaches
Yeah.
and players. Like, how did you take that along? Like, how did you embrace that? Because really, when you're a coach and your coach's wife, coach family, like you take in your players.
Yeah.
So how was that going from a 5 to like 125?
Yeah. I mean, I think every stop we've made, like we always have a group, so we always have them over for dinner, and we're close to them. But this was being a head coach is different because you don't just have a group; you have the entire team. So it took me a while to like get to learn everybody's names, but that's what I do. Like I come around, like I have conversations with these kids, and I get to know them and their families, and I think it was easy for me. Like I love these boys like they're my own, like for real. Like these guys are like, I tell them like I have like 120 sons, like, so these guys are great kids. And when people meet them, like you get to know their stories, you get to know them. They're all so respectful, so like they truly love each other, and it makes it easy for us. Like we just want to love up on them and make sure that they get everything they need.
No, I was fortunate that my son got
Yes.
recruited and was blessed with a scholarship from the University of Hawaii. And during our time on our visit, just watching you kind of assert yourself with the families, kind of from a family standpoint, like kid, everybody their goal or their aspirations, whatever sport, is to get to the next level, get to college, right? If you could give like insight on like your approach, because when I send my kids off, I don't have that type of interaction because they're living in the dorm,
Yeah.
they're away. How do you feel, or like what makes you go about your daily schedule to make sure that, hey, these kids are taken care of? Like you already have 5 kids, but
Yeah.
how intentional are you to make sure that these boys are doing well? Like walking the campuses, checking if they're okay.
Yeah.
Or, like what kind of stuff like that, like
Yeah.
makes you think like that?
So we are I'm at practice probably every single day. Like even when my kids are in school, I drop off my older kids, I have our baby, and we'll be at practice. But I think that's important, is just checking in with the kids every day. Like when they walk by, and they're at the point now where like every single kid takes the time to come and say hi auntie, and like come talk to me. And I'll just ask them like, what's going on? Like how's school? Like how's family? How's this? And like some of them open up and some of them take a little bit, but they open up and they feel like at home with us. They feel that ease where they can share and like tell me like what issues they're dealing with or challenges they have. And like, I mean, I'm a mom like of 5 kids, and I would want someone, if my kids weren't with me and away at a college, like I would hope that the coaching staff that I'm leaving my kids with would care about my kids like that and check
100%.
in and make sure that they're being fed, that they get snacks, like they have what they need,
Touching upon having food, right? Because sometimes people come to college and not everybody's on scholarship.
No.
Some people are walk-ons. Some people, like when I had played, like some of my teammates had 2 jobs, just to support their tuition or just to pay for school and still have to practice.
Yeah.
And sometimes food is not available for them.
No.
Really, like they'll probably
Yeah.
eat 1 meal and that's it. Talk about the brotherhood grinds, and like you had an influence on getting that going too. So like talk about that and what that does for the team and what you've seen, it's I guess the progression or the outcome of it that's being placed right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that, like back in the day, only the scholarship kids would get fed and the walk-ons kind of just fend for themselves. But now, thankfully, like the entire team does get fed. I believe the school provides like 1 meal during the season, and then the rest is kind of up to them with their extra stipends or whatever we bring in. And so when Timmy came to the program, that was his top priority when he assessed the situation. Like these kids don't have enough meals. Like they're training every single day.
I'm gonna take a quick time out. So for
Yeah.
you guys that don't understand or know like the way it works is when you're on scholarship, you get 1 meal a day.
Yeah.
So for us at UH, it was breakfast. We have a 7 a.m. practice, finish by 9:30. And we have breakfast, but only scholarship athletes can go in. And I think it's the 80 players. So you still have another 20 or 30 kids
Yeah.
that literally can't eat.
Yeah.
Local style, a lot of us scholarship guys or, guys would just go make a plate and maybe leave it outside on the bench. But, like sometimes they don't make enough food for that, right? So that's where it comes in. And so like, I want to explain that because not everybody understands. Just because you're at the school and people are eating doesn't mean everybody eats.
Yeah.
People are left out.
Yeah, they did change it now, like where every kid does get fed, provided a meal, but it's not enough, right? And so that's where the brotherhood grinds. Like that's where Timmy's top priority was like, I need to get these boys fed and I need to get them fed multiple times a day, plus snacks and protein shakes. So that's kind of how it happened. We met up with Ryan Tanaka, who's the owner of Giovanni Pastrami's, and he was like, how can I help? And Timmy was like, I need to feed my boys. So they came up with the Brotherhood Guidance Program, which is now actually open to all sports, women's and men's. So everybody, what it is, when we first started, there was 4 restaurants that volunteered to feed our team on the off season. And then now it's grown. I believe there's like 28 restaurants now that alternate every week and feed our entire team, plus the women's sports and everybody else. So there's a whole program up there. And they also added in like these sit downs with CEOs and like leaders in the community to meet with the players during these luncheons and during these the meals where they can mingle and like get advice and make these connections and network. So it's grown into like a really cool program for kids.
I've seen the video. I've seen some pictures where it's like you literally have CEO business people at different tables, and these athletes, not just football, are able to sit with them. As a mother, right? As somebody like, man, these are my kids. Like, that's really how you feel. Like, it must be good knowing that, you're coming to college, you are working toward your degree, but we're also giving you an advantage by getting that number, by getting that email contact, by having that network. Like, what kind of joy do you feel like knowing that, man, these kids are really getting set up for life?
No, I think it's so important. I think because Timmy was a player here and kind of understood, like, he didn't really get that kind of help, so he wanted to make sure that these kids had what he didn't have, whether it's food or being able to be set up life after football, because football only lasts so long. It's like, you got to make sure you graduate. You got to make sure, you make connections, because if you want to stay here in Hawaii, there's a lot of people that can help you in the community to set you up for a career after football. And that's so awesome, because we even within our own program, we created our own program called it's a player development program where we bring in our own CEOs and leaders and talk to the team during our meetings every Thursday. And so they've been helped with building their own resumes, meeting with these, and we've actually even now set them up with internships. So a lot of these kids are out there doing internships with, Hawaii Pacific Health, banks, and stuff like that. So and these kids are excited about it. Like some of these have never done a resume in their life, and having these skills to do for career after football is like, it's so cool to see them like grow into men. Like we saw them come in as like boys, and now I feel like they're really like men. And some of these are fathers,
For sure.
It's so great for them to grow in our program.
Timmy's always in the headlines, in the spotlight, so people may be watching like, why would you have Sherry in? But I brought you in because you give a totally different insight, as if Timmy were sitting across. Everybody knows Timmy's story. Everybody hears him all the time, but you give insight a lot behind the scenes, right, on the supportive role. And I think Hawaii, there's a lot of women, married, not married, whatever, kids, they can relate, because that's kind of how like the Hawaii lifestyle is, is because it's like, man, I have somebody out there working, because you're a stay-at-home mom, correct?
Yes.
So, you have somebody out there working 2 jobs, and, they have a long day, so they can connect with you on, the supportive role. But Timmy's doing a lot, but let's kind of lead into the sisterhood.
Yeah.
This is your project.
Yes.
This is your project.
Yes.
So how did this, the brotherhood was termed and was going, how did the sisterhood come about?
There's so many like reasons why the sisterhood came about.
Explain them. Okay. We got time. We got time. Explain them.
Well, so right when he came in, the team identity just automatically became the brotherhood, that kind of grew. But we were all like, okay, well, we can't forget about the sisterhood. There's a lot of women's, our female athletes, student athletes too, that we wanted to make sure that they were recognized and like they have a part in UH athletics too. So, and
we want a bone too. We want to be a piece of this pie.
It's not just about the brotherhood, like there's sisterhood. So, that was a way for us to highlight the female athletes too. But then, also, when I found out what our needs were was the nutrition, I'm like, okay, well, how can I help? Because I want to contribute. I want to help take some of the load off my husband's plate,
Yeah.
So, and I also wanted to be able to connect the women fans to our team as well. And like, as women, like as moms, like we can make a difference too.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tell them, Sherry.
We can make a difference
you
just
go.
as much as these men. Like, so it's cool. Like, we kind of combined the whole women's football clinic, which they have done in the past, but a new element was to it was the fundraising, which has never been done here. So that was kind of a challenge to get through, like a little bit of the red tape because it's new, like the school's never done that. So we created a whole fundraiser where businesses can come become sponsors. I want to say like 90% of the event is all donation based. So
Nice.
It's incredible to see the community come and support and really want to be a part of this and give back to our team, which I love so much. And but the women can come. It's women only.
Yeah.
We do.
What was like the blueprint? If you take a step back a little bit, like what was the blueprint? Were you on the couch and like, man, brotherhood is getting all of this. Like, I need something for the sisterhood.
No.
Did you pull out like a notebook and be like, man, like start jotting down some notes? Like, what was like? What take us through that? Like the actual like getting this thing off the ground.
So I definitely want to do like a sisterhood kind of type thing, but there was already I want to say like a group of women supporters that some of them worked for the school and some of them were just huge supporters. That kind of committee was already kind of formed for me, and they're still on the committee to this day. Like they're amazing. And
You want to give them a shout out?
Yeah.
Or-
So we have
Give them a shout out. Give them their
my
love. Hey,
God.
give them their flowers.
The sisterhood committee, you guys are amazing. You know who you are. They make everything go. So we kind of combined and had a meeting, and I told them this is what I wanted. This is what we need to fundraise. Like this is what the proceeds need to go to, and how can we kind of combine everything into one. But I actually had a great mentor from Nevada, like our head coach's wife there, Kim Norvell. She had already done these types of things in Nevada. So I was able to reach out to them and our support staff there. They were so awesome. They sent us a lot of information and what they did, what we were doing there, and kind of helped me jumpstart it too. Like
Get it off the ground. Yeah.
We would just pass information back and forth. And I mean, and that's so great about them is like they want to see us succeed too. Like, even though we play each other, we're the same conference, but they're so supportive and even helping us get this job and then now helping us jumpstart like programs like this. They're so awesome. But
I think that's something good to highlight is because, in this world, we're always trying to better ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes the mentality is like crab in a bucket, right?
Yeah.
Like, I see this, I want to be up there, so let me pull you down. So it must be a really good feeling knowing that. And like, we sometimes got to be like that.
Yeah.
When some people are getting into positions, if I can help them,
Yes.
encourage them, do
Yes.
what you can,
Yeah.
They still got to learn and put in work like you guys have. But that's something that's good to highlight is because, we got to spread that type of energy. We got to spread that type of, like energy for people to really, hey, I want to see you succeed. Because I'm a person of good vibe and good energy. If I send it out, it's going to come back one day.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. I believe in that too. Like I
sure.
feel like what you put out is what you get back. And that's why we try to be as transparent as we can through this, because I do want to take everybody on this journey with us. Because it's when we win, like the state of Hawaii wins, like everybody will have a positive feeling, or maybe their business will start. We can attract people to Hawaii and to the games, and then maybe it'll spread to businesses in the community. So we definitely and whatever local business we can highlight. Like I do all the time on my social media, like whatever I can help promote. Like I tell business all the time, extend it my way. Like whatever I can help post and promote. Like I want everyone to win.
For sure. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. So now that you got the sisterhood up and going, like, what was it like? Like, what did you have in store for your first event? And how was that leading up? Like, take us through the process. Like, somebody who's out there listening right now or watching this doesn't like sisterhood. What is that? Like, I mean, am I supposed to go out there and play football? Like, what was like the thought process? Okay, putting our first event together.
Yeah. So, it actually was months and months of planning. I think we started planning in March, and the event wasn't until August. So, months and months of planning. It's a lot of paperwork through the school, of course, and then a lot of just coordinating businesses and asking for sponsorships and donations and stuff like that. But I didn't know how much money we were going to raise, and I didn't really have an expectation on that. So my focus was mainly on the experience. I'm like, okay, because if I can give these guys a great experience, and they'll want to come back, and business, I feel like everything else will just fall into place.
And the focus is on the ladies, correct?
Yes.
Because a lot of times, I mean, just I mean, just looking at it, right? Normalcy is just, the guy comes and the girl follows, right?
Yeah.
To the football game,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? Like, either I got a kid playing or my other half wants to go watch a game, right? So your focus is on this as you guys are planning. So what type of like events or what is like some things that you really want to focus on? Like if we're going to bring women here, we want to teach them this or we want to highlight and showcase these things. What was some of those things?
Yeah. So when they come to the event, I wanted them to be able to learn football 101. So when they come in, our coaches do like a chalk talk session with them. And
Each coach?
so we usually pick the head coach,
Okay.
our OC, and our DC.
Okay, which is your main coaches
Our
right
main
there.
coaches, maybe a special teams coach in there we throw in sometimes, but they come into our lecture hall where we do have a lot of our team meetings, and they get to sit in the seats where our players sit and experience that. And our coaches,
they get the first class treatment like that.
Yeah, this is like the real thing. So they come in there, and our coaches have. I make sure they have a whole presentation. They do slideshows, and they kind of teach on both sides of the ball, like football 101. They want to teach them, whether it's, and in the programs, we even have like signaling calls.
So this is pretty much like a class where ladies can like actually learn football.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've heard it at times.
Yeah.
We're on defense and they, let's go quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, bro, we're on defense, Anthony. You know what I mean? Like, sister, like you got to know your positions. So that's pretty cool. Like, you guys are teaching class.
Yes.
What is the faces like? Like when people are in this class, like actually like learning terminology, verbiage from these coaches. What is their facial expressions like?
I think we get a good mix because actually there are a lot of women that do know football and they actually ask some pretty deep questions. So I'm like, I get so impressed. And there are women that don't know and they're like, okay, what is a quarterback?
Yeah.
Like, what's a receiver? So, but they're really, what surprised me that they're really into it, which I love so much because there's like, our lecture halls usually run the longest. So I've had to cut them off because they're asking questions and so many questions. And
the women, they got this.
Yeah,
the women got this. They got that up here.
They want to go home and school up their husband.
Exactly.
So,
I bet you didn't know this on cover 3. I bet you didn't know this. If they lined up over here, we're going to run this. Like, I'm sure that they go home like, let me drop some plays for you next time you go coach the kids. No, that's awesome. Having you guys be able to create this space for them to learn football, right? Especially for people that don't. How much more connected do you feel like they are to football? Not just the sport football, but UH in general.
Oh, yeah. There's been so many women that I've met that come to our sisterhood and have told me, like, I've never watched a game in my life of UH football. And then they end up becoming, like, season ticket holders from the sisterhood. We've had, and actually our last event, our new ticket guy came to the event and he said we sold maybe, I think 30 something season tickets.
Oh, nice.
At the sisterhood event, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to.
I mean, they're not just buying one game. Hey, give me a season. Yeah, season. Yeah.
Which is crazy. And that's what I wanted. I wanted the women to feel, first of all, connect with our team, get to know our players, our coaches, because they're a great staff, great players. But also feel comfortable coming to the games and know what they're watching and get excited about what they're watching, and kind of now you can see like, okay, now I know kind of a little bit what's going on and it makes it fun. It is a fun environment because it is predominantly a male sport, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure that we take care of the women and that they can come and feel good about coming and comfortable and know what they're watching.
Yeah. No, for sure. I'm sure that they come to the games after going through, this class setting, this event, and they're more into it. They're more connected. Like, hey, that player, because you guys have players that help out as well.
Yes.
So I'm sure like that creates an even more draw and interest. Like, man, I really want to support them. And, I've shared this many times before. Growing up in the islands, we didn't really have social media. I mean, generation, we didn't have social media as much. So UH football was everything.
Yeah.
Now you have, with cable TV, with social media, Twitter, Instagram, all of that stuff, the eyes go outside because, you have local players going away, they're balling out at different schools or whatever it may be. And it's not just UH football anymore. But when you create environments like this, now it's like you have the parents that's like planting seeds too for the future generation. Like, hey, I want this. Now I'm going to bring them to more games.
Yes.
And you help plant the seeds for future generations to at least know what UH football is about. You know what I mean? So that's awesome. But besides just the class settings, there's some other things that you guys do at this event as well, correct?
Yeah. So we treat them like top recruits. Like they come in, they get a shirt, they get a swag bag, they get the lanyards with the badges of their names and everything. And they'll come in, we have all you can eat food and drinks for them.
What?
Yeah. the players are there. So we have players set up at every group. They take them on a facility tour. So they get, and they were actually the first group to see our new weight room.
Oh, nice.
So they got a sneak peek of that last year. And then now they get to see it this year where it's fully done.
Yeah.
So they got to go take and then this year.
Anybody go in there like, hey, let me put 500 on the squat rack and let me go show you ladies. Anybody test out the weights or no?
No, they didn't, but they enjoyed it. And this year we try to change up a little elements every year so that it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Thing.
It's different. Yeah.
So this year we did an interactive. I guess a live role play interactive tour.
Oh yeah.
So when they went into the weight room, CB was in there and he did.
Oh, he must have brought the intensity.
Oh yeah, he had his boys banging on the windows, doing their little chant that they do, and coming in, running in like they do before every lift in the morning. So they brought that intensity, and they were just doing what they do in there, and the ladies got firsthand see because not a lot of people get to see that. Yeah. So they got to experience.
And that's why I love you being able to explain that because a lot of people don't get to see that.
No,
so just even hearing is like, oh, give me chicken skins. Like, I know how it feels to run into that weight room and get after it. But for somebody that's not connected, especially a female who's not maybe really into the game, like, what? Like, oh man, you guys better make sure you guys get your tickets and waiting for the next one. That's the shout out for next year. But so they're coming in this weight room like, man, their faces just must have been like,
all the phones were out. They were all so excited. They thought that was amazing. And then, and then Chris Brown just kind of explains to them what happens in there, how we get bigger, stronger, faster in the off season, what they do, and I mean, it's the players go through a lot. And then they move on to the locker room where Logan Taylor was in there. He was kind of leading the locker room tour where, he did the team prayer that he does. And because he's our spiritual leader on the team. So he did the team prayer, and then all the ladies had their hands on the shoulder. Everyone was just connecting hands and doing this prayer, which I thought they really enjoyed. And the players talked about what their pregame rituals were in that locker room, and just get to take pictures and walk through that because again, not everyone gets to go through our locker rooms and through the tunnel into the stadium. So we do that, and then we have a tradition every year where we have the ladies go under the helmet and the tunnel, and we run out to our song.
Like the boys,
And everyone loves it, and then we go on the field and they do their drills. And the boys do a good job.
Wait, the ladies go through drills?
Yes. So we have 10 stations, and the players are coaches and players are set at each station, and they're so good at cheering them on and bringing intensity. So the ladies really there's aunties and
I see some aunties maybe pushing close to 70.
Yes, and they get into it. They're tackling full on these dummies. So it's so cool to see them really let loose, and get into it. So
that's so awesome to hear. It's because like I said, everybody knows Timmy, but this is something that was a project of yours. That was held dearly to you, and to be put on. And I think that's so awesome because you get an opportunity to really bring people into the football world who has no idea. You know what I mean? I'm sure you changed a lot of maybe just thoughts on what people thought it was like, and giving that, because not everybody gets to run out of the helmet.
No,
wow. Oh, this is the field. And, everybody's used to grass fields, part rock, part mud. You walk on, and you run out onto UH's nice, brand new turf field in the stadium. I mean, that's been such a dope experience, So besides the sisterhood, but you guys also had a retro theme, right? This past one?
Yeah, so we try to
Because I seen everybody was all colored up out there.
We try to make a theme every year to just, make it different every year and fun. And who doesn't love a good theme? So we had an 80s theme. We did a lot of promo leading up to it, a lot of 80s videos with our players, which they're such good sports. They're like, okay, auntie, whatever I set them up to do, they just do it. But I think people enjoyed that too. And everyone came dressed up, which is awesome. Last year we had a pink theme and everyone came in pink. And so this year we did 80s and a lot of people came in 80s theme. Everything was 80s.
Some people didn't have to buy. They probably had it in their closet. This is when I was in high school. Let me bring this out for today. Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so they really got into it. And actually this year, last year we were close to selling out. This year we sold out. We ended up having a wait list, which is
nice.
Just amazing. And we did raise close to 100,000 again. So
nice. And that the money raised goes back into the program to
feed our players. Yeah.
Nice. And that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So sisterhood is off and running.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Sounds great. You also got this other thing that's kind of coming up in the woodwork called the Cakeyhood.
Cakeyhood.
So explain. Hey, this is you. This is your passion project. This is your time. Like, share the Cakeyhood now. Like what kind of led into this? You got the sisterhood. Now we got the Cakeyhood.
Yeah. Not that I need anything else more on my plate, but this
toilet paper along with responsibilities and things that you're trying to get going. But
this for sure is a passion project because obviously I'm a mom. I've been in football now for a long time, you know, as a coach's wife. And coming to these games, I wanted to, you know, and I just felt like there was a need here. Like we don't have a lot of kids' gears, you know, for the kids. And actually the sisterhood and the Cakeyhood is, the reason I do it is about community. Like I want to build community and I want to connect all these different groups to our UH athletics.
Come on,
programs,
girl.
You know?
Tell them.
I want them to feel connected. I want them to be part of this journey. I want them to be fans. I want them, whatever I can do to connect everybody. I want to be that bridge.
You're not just trying to have people come and buy a ticket.
No.
Like I want you to feel a part of this family.
Yes.
That's the unique and special thing about Hawaii. It really is family. It's not a faked environment. It's not a fake culture. Like this is who we really are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so and even just on social media, like I'm so active on social media and I try to show as much as I can because I do want everyone to feel like they're part of the journey. Like whether it's like behind the scenes, if I can show videos or whatever it is, like I might share too much sometimes, but
it's all good. People love the transparency.
Okay, I want people to feel like they're a part of this journey with us, you know? And so that's Cakeyhood is kind of like that. I want to, so I have 5 kids. I bring them to the games and of course, they always bring their friends. Yeah. And so I started bringing, our section is probably like 20 kids deep of just kids. Yeah. So I started seeing how when they come to the games, how much they start to like love our players and get to know their names and really become fans. And I love seeing the game through their eyes and through my kids' eyes, how excited they get. And now that they're getting older, they understand football more and they're up there cheering and getting these players autographs after and
waiting to the very end. Yes.
Yeah. And that's kind of another thing too, is like if we can get kids to become UH fans at a young age.
Come on, you know what it's gonna lead to.
That's how we're gonna keep local kids home. You know, when you become a Warrior fan from a young age and like grow up and you plant that seed and it's like, okay, I'm not going anywhere else. Like this is where I want to be. That's my dream is to be a Warrior. Like
100%.
This is why the Cakeyhood came about is because I wanted to be that bridge for all these kids. And a lot of these friends that we bring have never been to our campus, don't know our players, don't know like, you know, and I'm like, why? Like if I can help that and create, and that's where the Cakeyhood is going to be heading there is like, I of course there's gear for the kids to have access to, but I want to eventually create a Cakeyhood experience for them where they can come, we'll have an allotment of tickets to give out. They can sit in their own section with their parents and they'll get a Cakeyhood shirt and they'll get to have a tunnel experience where they get to, you know, maybe meet the players or their coaches and have a kind of fan experience for them. That's what I want to create.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So where are you in the stage? Is it still planning stages or are you kind of like gonna be kicking something off soon?
Yeah, so I am aiming to have everything kicked off and fully running by hopefully our homecoming game, which is I believe the Nevada game. But I am slowly releasing things. Like right now we have the Cakeyhood confetti.
Nice.
I think that's a modern day kind of your newspaper that I hear a lot about from the Lohe scene when everyone's throwing newspapers.
You never got to experience that, yeah?
No, I hear a lot of stories about it.
Back in the day, packed stadium, 30 to 50,000. There's times that the stadium's been at. And after every touchdown, talk about toilet paper and confetti coming from the yellow section up top all the way down and just feel this thing like that. If you bring that back, that would be sad. I mean, I feel sorry for all the janitors and all the people that clean up after.
I know. I might get in trouble actually after this. But
hey, but if you grab a broom, I'm sure it kind of eases up the pain a little bit. Like, Sister Sherry's over there helping. It's all good.
But that's what the Cakeyhood confetti is. They're biodegradable and
there you go. Got to add that in. Biodegradable.
They're biodegradable. But imagine like the whole stadium just erupting in this green, yellow, and black confetti that we created. So when a touchdown goes, everyone just flick their sticks and it's confetti like the whole and that our players feed into that, you know, like it's that energy. Gives them energy. So whatever we can create there. So that right now is out right now, but our website's up and running. We're just slowly having we're just producing what we have right now. I want to do a lot of collabs with local businesses so that I can help highlight
Nice.
them. Our first project is with Thankful. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everyone knows their Thankful shorts. We're doing a Cakey Hood version of Thankful shorts.
Nice.
I've had meetings with High Life. They seem like they want to jump on board and help us. So there's a lot of exciting things happening with Cakey Hood. And
No, for sure.
I'm really excited about that one.
I love to hear the fact that you consistently bring it up. Like, you want to try and get local businesses involved.
Yeah.
You know, like why do you feel so strongly about getting local businesses involved?
I just want to see the people of Hawaii like do well too. Like whatever success that we have,
Mm-hmm.
I want to share that. Like you said, like if we can bring other people up, like I think that helps everybody. You know, I think there's enough for everybody to win and have success. You know,
Amen to
so
that.
I want to see everybody do well in this island, and that's
Nice.
what it is.
So we've touched upon Timmy's life, you know, the journey with Timmy getting to the coaching thing. We kind of led into your passions of the sisterhood and the Cakey Hood. Now, I want to open it up to being a little bit more kind of in a deeper thought beyond football, because I think you have a unique story in a sense where your husband is literally in the spotlight.
Yeah.
He's in the headlines, good and bad. It's not a tough job. And I think there's a lot of women out there that can kind of share in the place where you are, how you guys have to be supportive, and I kind of want to touch upon the relationship side, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We get into, but you know, like being with somebody who's well, first of all, I'm sure you didn't wake up and just want to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of aspirations or goals did you have before kind of like you guys had kids and stuff like that? What is something that you was really going after that kind of got put on the back burner?
Well, I went to school for business marketing. You know, I met him when I was very young. I was 21 years old at the time. You know, I never moved away from home. So I did a lot of growing up with him too. You know, we kind of learned a lot together in this journey, and we had a baby. And I was I never pictured myself as a young mom. Like that's not, you know, like I wanted marriage first, like the traditional things of a career and like have babies, but I'm so blessed that I can stay home with my kids, you know, and I know a lot of people can't do that, especially nowadays, which I find a blessing that I can do that. And, we also, because we move around so much, we wanted to make sure that, you know, we had a rock for our kids too, and that there was someone constant there for them, because of course his job is so demanding and it takes him away a lot. Like I wanted to make sure that our kids were secure and felt that, you know, even though it's chaotic around us, like that our home life wasn't chaotic and it was secure for them, and that they felt good and like had a good childhood, you know. And I try to do that with them.
You know, it's I don't know if funny is the right term, but my kid's mom was a stay-at-home mom, right?
Yeah.
And there is this, I don't know, this stigma of, but I work all day. You come home, you get to stay home. You know, you wake up when you want.
Yeah.
I give you guys props. Stay-at-home mothers, you guys deserve an award because it's hard.
It's hard.
I enjoy it the first couple of days, but when I gotta constantly make, when my kids are young, constantly make meals, I gotta take them to appointments, fill up here. I hate paperwork. Like I hate filling out whatever paper, and I gotta fill all this paperwork. I gotta make sure that they're proud. Like, I'm like, bruh, this is tough. So if I never said it before, well, I've said it to my kid's mother, but to you ladies out there, being a stay-at-home mom, fellas, go get them flowers. Go do something nice for them, because we know it ain't easy. It's easy for the first 2 days. After that, it's rough. But, you know, having to put some of the things, you know, like maybe your goals on the back burner, was it easy, or was it kind of a tough process to kind of navigate through? Like, man, I'm kind of giving up my dreams for yours. You know, like, what was your feelings towards it?
I think it definitely, first of all, I appreciate you acknowledging all the moms.
Hey.
It's tough. I get that question like, oh, what do you work? I'm like, yeah, actually I do work. I'm a chef. I'm an Uber driver. Like I'm a maid. Like I do.
But your resume is like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, geez,
I could
Louise.
run. Yeah. But no, being stay-at-home mom, I mean, it's tough, and that has shown up like in our relationship. Like we've been together for a long time. We have 5 kids. Like that does show up from time to time, because like sometimes it's easy to get lost in becoming a mom, because you're sacrificing, like you're last on the list. You're taking care of everybody else, making sure that every other lives are, you know, where they need to be, and everything's organized. The house is run, clean, cooking, all this stuff. Like it's easy to get lost in that, and And so that has shown up at times where, I have breakdowns and I cry and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm appreciated. I'm not, it's a thankless job. And like your kids are young. They don't know to thank you and like be, I mean,
Because sometimes
you
that thank you
instill.
goes a long
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Like, your
yeah,
food is made. You got
yeah,
clean clothes. Like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. I mean, and of course, like you teach them that, and they eventually get it. But when they're young, they don't, and it's like a lot of them, a lot goes on you. They rely on you for a lot. So mentally, it's like draining. And you don't get to eat food by yourself.
Yeah.
Just little things. You don't get to shower or go to the bathroom by yourself. Like you're constantly like there's someone pulling at you 24/7. So it does show up in our relationship, and he doesn't understand because he's not a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
So I think that is something like I've always struggled with. Only now I'm starting to see the light because my kids are getting a little older.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to have a little bit of more freedom and time to myself. But yeah, there were a lot of times when, I had 3 kids at one point under the age of 6. So it's tough, and especially when my husband's gone all the time. Like, and when we're away on the mainland, we don't have family or friends around to help.
To assist.
Yes.
Here, please watch this. Like, take a quick nap.
Yeah. And because you're away, like I never went and found a babysitter because I didn't know anybody in the area and I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving my kids with anybody. So I did that a lot by myself. And even now when we do have family, I have a hard time asking because I mean, we just do it. Like that's our role. So I think moms find a way to get it done. And sometimes it is easier for just us to do it. But I do have to learn to ask for help sometimes now that I do have it. And I do, which is great. But it is hard. I think there's a lot that goes into being a mom.
I think so many people out there, guy or girl, can appreciate everything that you're talking about now is because I think sometimes people don't want to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially for you guys, right? I see Timmy, and this is not to kind of get in your guys' business and throw dirt out there. No, like I think, in Hawaii to survive, everybody has multiple jobs. And a lot of times it's the guy that goes out to work and the women stay home.
Yeah.
And people may see you guys and be like, oh, that's Timmy Chang, that's his wife. And on the camera, you guys are all smiling. But at the end of the day, you guys are still human beings.
Yeah.
You're still over there with just like a lot of other families who have multiple kids, all young. I mean, I remember our struggles.
Yeah.
We get one kid to go sleep and the other kid's waking up.
Yeah.
And then like that one finally goes to sleep, the other one. And then it's like one craps out the diaper. I got to clean the diaper. And then we're trying to get like, bro, it's a mess, you know? What are some tips or maybe what are some things that in this chaos, how do you take a step back and kind of just like recalibrate and get just back to it?
I think,
especially because a lot of times you are on your own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm sure there's women out there that's struggling, you know what I mean, with the same thing.
I think just always remember to give yourself grace. Like you're only one person. You're outnumbered most of the time if you have multiple kids. And like give yourself grace. Like you're doing the best you can. And these kids really don't even notice. Like they think you're doing an amazing job. And our kids are so happy and they don't know the chaos that's going on in my head or around us. You know, they actually just love you and everything you're doing is great. And I think just giving yourself grace is probably the most important, and just be patient. Like, you know, it is only a short period of time. Like when we decided to have a big family, because I come from a big family, I knew I always wanted that. I knew that I tell my husband all the time, like, this is such a small time in our lives. Like right now, it doesn't seem like that when we were in it, but like it goes by so fast. And it's like a small, short time sacrifice for what they can have when they're growing up is each other, you know? So I try to remember that, like just kind of just appreciate the times that we do have and the chaos, because it's not going to last forever.
Yeah. You know, maybe something that you sacrifice, right? Like, is there something that you really wanted to aspire to be? Like a doctor, teacher? Is there like a title that you kind of just was still kind of finding that as you grew up?
Yeah, I think I was still finding that as a group. I didn't know, but I think being a young mom and a mom, especially in this profession, is exactly that. Like I just was lost. Like I felt like because my husband was bringing in that money and I wasn't, I didn't feel like I was contributing, you know, like what am I bringing to the table? But then, you know, like then you realize like, okay, the only reason my husband can go off and do this and bring in all that money is because I'm holding it down at home and I'm, you know, making sure the household, he doesn't have to worry about a thing except for football. So I think that's empowering in itself.
No, it's true. Because I mean, we are talking about inspiration, elevation, empowerment, right? Empowering is that like, we didn't as males, right, have somebody to really hold it down, right? I would have to hire a chef,
Yeah.
a maid.
Yeah.
I mean, an Uber driver,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a tutor, because I'm not at home to go do homework with them. Like, so you guys do really hold it down. And this is a moment where I guess we do highlight the women,
Yeah.
because a lot of us men, even myself, we get credit for, doing this and being that. But a lot of time you guys are in the background.
Yeah.
In a studio like this, it's usually Timmy and maybe myself.
Yeah.
And you're back there, or, my whatever,
Yeah.
back there, So it's cool. Touching on relationship side though, with Timmy being around testosterone all day,
Yeah.
meetings, I mean, from early morning, from before the sun is out, I'm sure, till late night, on days where it's just like, man, I don't want to talk. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, those tough days,
Yeah.
kind of like just express, how do you go about it? How can you comfort him? I think because a lot of times, I guess, in relationships, right? We hold things in, and we explode one time.
Yeah.
And then, or other times it's just like we're non-communicative, like we don't communicate, we
Yeah.
don't talk, and then you kind of drift away.
Yeah.
Is there things in your relationship that like you guys make it stay like, no, we have family night, no, we're having date night, regardless of how busy you are, so that you can keep your relationship strong? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure there's couples out there that's trying to find like
Yeah.
some remedy.
Yeah.
What is something that you guys do?
And so when he comes home, he does a good job of actually just shutting off work.
Nice.
I think that's important because he could actually be on the phone all night, all day. Like there's so many things, but he does a good job of shutting off. And our time at home is our time, family time. Like we try to keep it like that. We have family dinners. We make sure that, we try to stay off our phones and whatever. And we just kind of bond as a family. I think that's important. He doesn't like to talk about football at home, because that's his escape is home. And that's
Yeah.
the only place he can escape here. So we try to just keep it family and talk to our kids and find out how their days went. And I mean, they're so funny. They make us laugh all day. So we just do things with them and keep it just low key. Like as high profile he is, we like to just be low key. And that's what we do at home. But I don't, and it's tough for me because as a wife, as a coach's wife, like I get anxiety, especially during the season, because like I can't control what they're doing. Like I can't, I don't know how practice, I mean, I go to the practice, I see it, but I don't know, what they're doing. We can't control the kids, how they play on the field. Like, so I get anxiety and build up. And like, if we have a loss, like I take it so hard, where he is like opposite. Like he's done this as a college kid. He's kind of prepped for it and knows what it is, so he can shake it off.
He's battle tested.
Yes.
He was a quarterback too.
Yeah.
I mean, a quarterback, you couldn't
It's
get more of a pressure
Right.
position, and I mean, all eyes on you type of position.
Yeah.
So I mean, being a head coach is kind of similar, right?
Yeah. And that's why I always feel like I'm like, you were like bred for this.
Yeah.
Like, like I feel like everything in his life leading up to this really prepared him for this role. He handles it well. They have a 24-hour rule where they sulk for 24 hours and they move on to the next game. We're like, I'm like in a hole for like 3 days. So like
roles are opposite.
Yeah.
Like, man, I'm taking this harder than you,
Oh
Timmy.
my God.
What's going on?
Yeah, I do. And I have my cry. Like I just had a big cry. I think it was yesterday or the day before. And like, but I do it myself because I want to be strong for my husband and I don't want him, to like be pulled into that because he has to focus on the next game. So if a coach's wife, check in on them because they
take it harder.
Yeah,
they take it harder.
We hold it all in and like I know it. I mean, I want it so badly for these boys, and I know how close they are because I watch them. Yeah.
Yes, they're progressing.
I
Definitely.
see it. I see the preparation that goes into it, the commitment, like the sacrifice, and I probably have the best seat to watch the building of the brotherhood. Like besides my husband and the coaches, like I hear all the things that head coach has to go through because every issue gets across his desk. But I also see it from a fan side, so I get the best seat in the house to watch this, and I see what goes into it, the love that's in our team. And so like I want it so badly for them, and I know it's coming. Like I know. I want people to be patient and just because these are kids at the end of the day. Like they need that support.
Talking about the fan side, right? It can be ruthless.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be very tough because you got people that just spiel whatever they want.
Yeah.
I'm sure at the level, and I can't speak for Timmy, but I'm just sure people in certain places, they don't not to pay attention to the comments.
Yeah.
Are you the same way, or do you kind of kid yourself like,
yeah,
and just
Yeah,
feel some
so-
type of some rage in you. Like,
Yeah.
how's that? As I mean, because it's hard, right?
hard,
I
yeah.
mean, because on the daily, my husband, his staff, these players are giving it all they got.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't come up with the W, or sometimes it
Yeah.
doesn't come out the way we want it to. And then you just get people that just speak their mind. Like, how do you process that? Like, how's that feeling?
You definitely have to have thick skin.
Yeah.
I feel like. Again, like my husband handles it. He doesn't even go on social media. Like
Nice.
he's not a really big
And that's
social
smart too,
yeah.
you know?
He's not a big social media guy to begin with. I mean, he does scroll, but he never reads the comments. Like he has no idea what's being said on the outside. Like no clue.
Yeah.
And I know that, and I try to shield him from that. So
That's
like
good.
anything that I read, I keep it to myself, and that's why like I probably have breakdowns and cry because I know, and it affects me, you know. So, but I try to keep off of it. Like I don't pay attention, but there are times when people are tagging us and like DMing me, and I'm like, okay, like I try to.
How's that when they DM you specifically? Like, what is that like?
I mean, I try to find security in that, like the people that know what he's doing and know the inside and the background and what's going on, like. I don't think there's not one person that says anything bad that's met Timmy or has been in the program and seen what he's been doing or seeing our players. I don't think I've ever heard one person, they actually come out of it the opposite, where they're like, holy shit. Oops,
Oh, no, you're good.
like, holy shit, like what you're doing is amazing. Like
His heart is in intentions is in the right spot.
Yeah.
And he created a staff that all aligned and sharing the same
that
thing.
are like-minded people. And that was another thing when he hired coaches. Like he didn't want just people that were like great at X's and O's. He wanted good people that would
mentors, leaders.
That would have an impact on these kids, love these kids, develop these kids, all of that. So that played a part in it. He wanted like-minded people, and that's what trickles down our players. He wants our guys to be like that. But so I forget what I was gonna say.
No.
What were we talking about?
Just talking about like the haters in the comments.
Oh yes,
like,
yeah. So they
DMing you,
so
pissing you off, ready to rage.
So I know those people that are saying those things.
Yeah, but that's pretty petty though.
Yeah,
like for them to like DM you, hey, write it on a forum, whatever.
Yeah.
But to DM you,
it's kind of crazy. But I know it comes with the territory, and I have to have thick skin about it. But I do know that those people saying those negative things don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So to me, it's kind of like a moot point because like. It doesn't matter because I know the people that love us and that are in this would never say that because they know the truth. And so like that stuff, I kind of just let it slide, and I'm like, okay, you don't know what you're talking about.
I got some grace for you, hater.
Yeah. So it's like
push it
it's
to the side.
okay. It's okay. Yeah.
No,
and
for sure.
but I also do like appreciate the passion too from the fans because it shows that they care, you know. And
I mean, this is not just a pylon or a elementary intermediate.
No.
We're talking about
Yeah.
really is branded as the professional team of the Pacific.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it is a highly regarded place. So I mean, it comes with the territory, like you said, you know.
Yeah.
Who's some of like the village? Who's your guys' support system? I mean, you guys are great as the Chang gang.
Yeah.
But who is some outside influence that you guys kind of got to tap into, you know, like, you know, who are supported, that kind of pour into you guys when your guys' cup is low, you know? Like who's some of those people in your guys' lives?
Definitely our family. And that's another thing, like talking about building community with a sisterhood KQ, like that's something I love and I've learned on my journey that I, as a coach's wife and a mom, I need to build my own community because it can get lonely. Like I've been on the mainland where it's just me, I don't know anybody, and it does get lonely. Like you kind of just go through the motions. But I've definitely learned that like I have to build my own community here outside of Timmy. Like he has his, I need my own. And so definitely our family here, which is nice to have. We have our close friends, and our kids' friends' parents. Surprisingly, like they are our neighbors. Like I could probably call 10 people right now that would pick up my phone call and go pick up my kids if I wasn't there. Like
nice.
That's
and you need that.
I need that. Yeah. And I appreciate it so much. And vice versa. Like I'm always carpooling. I'm always picking up kids, taking them to the games, taking them to our house. Like our house is that house where it's like all the kids come to, you know? So I love that. I want to make sure that our kids have that childhood. And that's part of the reason, like, I love them being in public school right now because we get that community feel where all the kids go to the same school, they play the same sports, we go to the same, like they all play at the park after school. And that's the community that I love to be a part of.
How is that? Like, I mean, just touching on the public school part, but like, man, like kids, are they like rock stars, at elementary? Like, oh, that's Timmy Chang's kids. Like, that's, they're, they're always at UH football.
Yeah.
Like, do they get that kind of treatment? Or are they just kind of like just regular average kids?
For the most part, they're like average kids, but
cool.
there are times when like, oh, my teacher found out like who daddy is, or like my friends, know, and so I think they're starting to get it because they're at that age. We're like, okay, what's
That's my dad.
Yeah.
That's my mom.
Yeah. Where, I mean, and to them, it's like normal. Like they didn't know, they don't understand like the magnitude it's at. So to them, it's normal. But I think they're starting to realize like, okay, this is not normal for every kid, So it's kind of cool, but they're just normal kids. Like
Nice.
people do a good job even when we're out. Like they just leave us alone. Like they let us be. But I love being a part of a community. That's what I love.
No, you need your village for sure.
Yeah.
If, for the people that, for the ladies in general, what is, like, I mean, is there something that you could really connect with and tell them, like, if you're barely holding on and you're just trying to keep it together, if your situations are the same where you're doing this sports, like, because sports is not easy.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, and I consistently talk about sports because that was my journey. That's what I'm connected to. But it's not. With practices Monday through Friday, games on the weekends. I mean, all this extra stuff. For mothers with multiple kids, families with multiple kids, like, what advice that you would give to them right now, like whether it's finding the support or finding something to do or getting whatever they need to just stick with it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who you're just like, they only can see right now, like, man, I don't know, I'm about to fall apart.
Yeah.
What advice would you give those ladies?
For sure, like, exactly that. Like, just give yourself grace. It might not seem like it, but it is only for a short time, like, and just enjoy the moments with your kids because it only lasts so long, like our daughter, like she's 14 now and like,
wow.
In 4 years, like she could be off to college and like I cry every day because I'm like, I always have mom guilt. Like, did I do enough? Like, was I a good mom? Like, did I spend enough time with her? Like, it does only last so long. So definitely try to slow everything else down and just enjoy the moments you have with your kids. And yeah, like find your own time too. Like take care of yourself, and it's okay to go, have lunch with your girlfriends. It's okay because I know we have a lot of mom guilt.
Speak on that because that, right? Like the guilt.
Yes.
Like, I want to go have lunch with my girls. I want to have a night out.
Yeah.
What? Night out? I mean, talk about the importance of that because that is important because that helps kind of get you guys back to this getting normal again. You know what I mean?
I used to get it all the time. Like I would get guilty just going to the grocery store by myself because I'm like, oh my God, my kids probably wanted to come. And like, they always ask like, Mommy, can I come with you? And like, I'd be like, no, I just got to go by myself. But I would feel guilt just doing that.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Like, I think if you take care of yourself, you can recharge your battery. You're a better parent to your kids and be a better wife to your husband. But I think, for guys, it's easier. Like they can pick up and go. For like us moms, like of course we have the mom guilt because we're just, like we handle everything. So I think it's okay to just take that time, go to lunch, even if it's just for an hour, go shopping by yourself for an hour. Like it definitely recharges your battery. And
touching on what you're saying, right? So my kid's mother used to always say, Rock, when you go to work, you get to have adult conversations.
Yes.
You get to talk with your coworkers. You get to talk to people that are the same age as you.
Yes.
I talk to kids that are 2, 3, and 5, or whatever it is, age was. But it's true, right?
It's true.
Like I didn't, like I reflect, right? So I went through a divorce, but we have a great relationship now. So we talk about a lot of stuff that, happened when we were together, married, and our relationship growing up with the kids. But she was like, I reflect on those things because it's so true. Like I take it for granted a lot of times because I reflect on how much she was a rock for me being able to, I would work 2, 3 jobs. Sometimes I used to be like, I complain like, I work. I come home and sleep only, 3 hours and I got to go back and, you get to sleep in, you get to be at home, watch the, like not knowing, like we talked about earlier, all the things that you guys do as, and this is maybe my time I give her a flower, but I've told her this before. And it's true. Like sometimes I used to be like, what? Like you're going to go to lunch. You guys are going to go out. Like, but ladies need that too. And, you guys don't get enough credit for the things you do because it allows us to do what you do. And we don't get to see that. Like I said, the adult conversations, just to laugh at regular jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes the kids say stuff like, and you just great. But, but it can drive, as much as we love our kids, it can kind of drive us nuts sometimes, So it's kind of just getting back to that level place and just kind of just keep recalibrating, and going again. But we'll take a quick pause real quick.
Okay.
We'll take a quick pause.
Okay.
I think because that's really what kind of enticed me to having you as a guest is because you speak well, but you're so relatable because
Yeah.
Hawaii, everybody got multiple kids.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, for you guys to be in that type of level and in that space, but I can still relate to you, you're gonna end up gaining followers outside of football.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh shit, I'm
Yeah.
just like me.
It's just like,
Yeah, they're losing their shit too. But
Yeah.
and those are kind of where we left off. But yeah.
And that's why I put him a lot on
Yeah.
like I video him a lot because I'm like, it actually humanizes you because the
Yeah.
role you're in, it's easy to put everyone puts you on a pedestal and like you're not one of them and like
Yeah.
they just want to tear you down. But like if I can show who you are as a dad, as a husband,
And people don't get to see that.
yeah, and they don't get to see that. So I'm
Yeah.
like, if they can connect with us as a family, and even the players, like I tell, like a lot of players are shy. I'm like, if we can put you on one of our sisterhood videos or whatever it
Yeah.
is that we're doing, like it humanizes you guys,
Yep.
and like everyone realizes that you're just one of them,
Yeah.
you know, and like they can relate to you, and then it's not so much of a like, okay, like let's tear them down, let's see them like we don't want to see them win. It's like we're all like in this together.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know.
Balance is huge, right? I mean, also too is like you don't forcefully do it because we want to just paint you to be. No, like Timmy's a good dude, and I'm lucky that I got to like have my encounters over the years. As
Yeah.
a player, and just now, especially like now that we have our own, like coach my middle son's team, my older son, like he's always asking, "Hey, how are you guys?" Like it's beyond just
Yeah.
football, like
Yeah.
and it just reflects on his character, the type of person he is. But going back to relationship though, like balance is hard.
Yeah.
Balance is super hard. And for me, just me speaking alone, like coaching my coaching in general, not just my own kids, but just coaching in general, my mind is always running with that. Then I got work. It's hard to come back home and not just be an ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just be super grumpy. Because I struggle with that. It's a long ass day.
Yeah.
It's a long day. And things do get out of balance, and sometimes, and I'll use myself as an example. Sometimes coming home is my place to kind of just vomit,
Yeah.
emotionally vomit all
Yeah.
the crap that I went through on the day. Is it the right thing to do? No, it's not. But sometimes that's the only escape I have because, sometimes we don't have our small communities,
Yeah.
where we can kind of express ourselves. But how do you guys deal with that? Because, like I said, I can only think about myself because I do, when I was in a relationship, when I was married, a lot of times I kind of just shed on my ex-wife,
Yeah.
just being in the position that I was because I felt like I took it for granted. Because you guys hold us down, right? So much. A woman, a wife, an other half holds a male down so much. We assume that I can just come home and shit all over or just crap on them.
Yeah.
And that's not okay.
Yeah.
But for us as males, that's the only place that we can feel comfortable in
Yeah.
just letting it all
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
And I think that's like easy to like, like you always hear like you usually shit on like the person that's closest to you because you feel the most comfortable and they
Yes.
know every side of you.
Mhm.
And so like that part of it, like I think everybody can relate to because it's like it does happen in relationships, but I think you have to kind of just try to understand where each person's coming from. Like when he comes home, like he doesn't ask me, what have you done all day? Like
Yeah.
he knows I've done a lot.
Yeah.
And I have to appreciate what he's done because he is out there grinding all day long. And we both bring something different to the table. Like I'm grinding at home. Like I have no days off. And like you said, I don't have conversation with adults. Like I can't eat by myself. Like even when I'm sleeping at night, like a kid wakes up, they're sick. Like I'm working at night too. Like
Yeah.
it's a hard job mentally and like it's taxing. But I also have to understand like he's gone through a long day too. So we try to like understand and
Nice.
appreciate like what we both bring to our family and just try to be like just a sounding board for each other. Like if I vent, he knows to listen. Like I don't want him to fix my problems. I want him to just hear me vent and agree with me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't want you fixing my problems. I want you just hear me vent and like agree and like that's it. And then the same thing when he vents, like I just try to listen and I bite my tongue because there's a lot of times where I'm like, okay, well, shouldn't you do this? This is like, it's like sometimes he doesn't want to hear that either. Like he just wants a safe space to just vent.
You hit it on the nail.
Yeah.
You just want, I didn't learn this till years later. When women speak,
Yeah.
when you guys talk, you just want to talk.
Yeah.
A guy, as soon as you say the first 3 words, and if I can find a solution, I'm giving you an answer. Here's how to fix it.
Yeah.
You guys don't want none of that.
Yeah, no.
Like, that blows my mind because I
Yeah.
think like that's the biggest, like, we're on like here and you guys are here trying to like, and then we're trying to read words and you guys are giving us hand signals. Like, it's like a whole different language, but it's so true. Like,
Yeah.
we have, and another good key point that you brought up is trying to understand the other person, right?
Yeah.
Because when one person is trying to tell you about all the stuff that they're doing and you come out like this, it's clashing of the heads, right?
Yeah.
And it's really like a good, it's good. It's good. What you just said is that trying to understand the other person,
Yeah.
So here at the Village, right? Women to women or men to men, like, what is something encouraging? All the stuff we talked about, relationships and stuff like that. What is something encouraging that you can give our audience? You talked about grace. Is there, maybe some other things that you can encourage people by? Especially, I think what's really, really good is that on the relationship level, people can relate. You guys are still humans.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, we're not just Coach Timmy and I'm his wife, Sherry. You guys are human beings with emotions, with kids, with responsibility, just like everybody else. If you can give some encouraging words, what would you tell our audience?
Yeah, just definitely communication, I think, is definitely key. Being patient with each other and exactly that, like just understand where each other's coming from. And just, like giving that person a space to vent and a safe space to unload and, but be respectful of each other. Like, I think you teach people how to treat you and you got to set up, you guys have to communicate, like, this is how we should discuss things, how we want to run our family. And like, you compromise, I think is great. And yeah, I mean, everyone goes through these struggles like I do. Like it's tough, especially when there's young kids pulling at you and you have finances, you have the outside world. Like it's tough, but like you got to know like you're a team. You got to do this together, and like butting heads is not going to help anybody.
Man, that's so on point. It's compromise, communication, and it's not trying to prove like I do this, so I'm more important or I'm more better than what you're doing.
Yes.
Because, as a couple, as a team, everybody has their strengths and they have to utilize their strengths to the best ability to make the team efficient. So, thank you for spending the time with us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I know, the little nerve-wracking being in the spotlight and being on the mic, but you did awesome. And I'm sure that the people listening in really enjoyed, everything that you said and you shared. And I appreciate it myself.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Village HI podcast, I thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys got some gems and some encouragement from what Sherry Chang shared with us today. Aloha.